Is this thing working? No. I don't believe it. It's working. Oh. I'm on the weight loss treatment plan. It's called Run, Run, Run Till Your Fat Just Melts Away. My other old plan isn't working. Hitting weights 3 times a day, it's just making them bigger. Just kidding around. Okay, I don't know if this will work. I know this worked for only the last 4 years I've been doing it. But, of course, one person shit show, oops, pardon my French, a one-person show always is fighting the current. All right? And that's my story. I'm sticking to it. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. I'm inside. I'm going to do this replay. I hope it'll work. If it doesn't work, I have a backup plan. And if that backup plan don't work, I got a backup to the backup. Bibbly bibbly bop. Ooh, that was a good song. Bibbly bibbly bop. Oh, my Google's unplugged. I had my stew for the day. So Stewie is there. We had some really, out of some horrible news, we have some good news that a member of the flight walked away from it. The guy has a guardian angel of guardian angels. I would like to rent his guardian angel. I shouldn't laugh. It's a horrible, horrible thing that this plane. And Boeing has never had a. This is the brand new Dreamcatcher plane, and it's never had a problem. This is like 2019, 18. They came out. Beautiful, beautiful plane, beautiful. And double-decker, I believe. It's just a very reliable vehicle. This individual who walked away from this, who, remember, and this hit the building, and the people in the building didn't make it. So this is horrible. He said, the individual said, in seat A11 or A11, lucky number 11, said that he heard they all heard a loud explode. He said boom, so a loud boom, and then the plane shortly thereafter fell. He didn't say from where, or they didn't specify yet. This individual had some chest injuries. He had some obvious facial, but nothing bad on his face, just like a cut here, cut there. Nothing major. It was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful miraculous thing for this individual. It's just a miracle. It's a miracle that he's alive. You know, he's got some good angels. That's all I'll have to say. Let's see if with this will work. If not, we got to back up, and then we got to back up to the backup. This is the replay, I guess, though I deleted the last. So enjoy.
There is, and this was a serious issue of breach of the way in which the federal public service handled this procurement issue. This was a problematic issue. And what it became, but the problem is when you hear the Conservatives speak, they make it as though the elected officials who are in these ministerial portfolios were actively involved. And that is a complete fallacy. It is untrue. It is dangerous. And when the allegations were raised to the political level through the Auditor General's report, the government took action the entire time. But this is the stuff that you see clipped on X, you see clipped out on social media, no context. These guys, gaslighting is an issue that we hear a lot on this side, but they're the best at it. And it's not helpful to democratic processes here in this House.
Right on. Comments,
Honourable member for Salaberry-Soulanges. Thank you.
It's not helpful. Yes, it is.
The election campaign
You got to raise your rhetoric.
The Bloc suggested cutting $21 million over 5 years to the public service and for external contractors. And the Liberal government is also proposing to cut the use of consultants, which is good. What we don't understand is that in the main estimates, we see an 8% increase with $9.3 billion in new spending. Is the government also suggesting to decrease the percentage of revenue without presenting a new budget? Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I would like to recognize my colleague for her question. the reason why we have this 8% increase in government is the motion that was before us that the honourable member voted in favor for a tax cut, for the GST cut on the purchase of for first-time home buyers, and also eliminating the carbon tax. So we will have a budget, and efficient government spending will be there.
Please du débat. The honourable member for the honourable member for Hamilton East, Stony Creek.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to split my time with the member of St. Albert Sturgeon. River. Mr. Speaker.
This is the one thing I have to. I just vehemently disagree with the member who said that, not on everything, but on this one point, that the clips and stuff like that are unhelpful to democracy. They are helpful to democracy because it's like an onion layer of things. Okay, it started with me. I believe that politics can raise an animal like me to divinity. I truly believe it. I believe everything is in it. Everything, especially the Westminster, our system, especially our Canadian system. It's in other places in the world, Australia. I don't know, but India, I wonder. Obviously, it's in the United Kingdom. But I believe it can raise an animal, someone who's a mouth-breathing, fire-breathing, angry individual, or one who flies, I should say, one who flies off the handle with their emotions on their sleeve into a divine creature. I am not this. I'm getting there, though. And I got all the way through this, through the lessons of politics. It's easy to get trapped, to jump into a bear trap, if you will. Many bear traps. There's many bear traps. There's excellent rhetorical politicians that will get you angry at the world. And you may go into that circle, and that one song, it's stuck in my head. It's enough, Post Malone. Move on to someone else. Circles. It's just you can get stuck in that circle, and round you go. Sometimes you have to step out and remember, they're all trying. They're all trying. They all have different opinions on how to go about, right? How to go about fixing the problems. Most of us agree with the problems that we see. It's just explaining them in a way that we all can understand. Like the song Cult of a Personality. How the word's awesome tune. Excellent video, by the way. The video of that one was one of the best. And you can learn divinity right through that simple, small 2-minute video. It can get you there. Especially at the end when the little girl shakes her head. It's like, what the? That is like the biggest lesson. You're like, oh, big lesson there. And, you know what I mean? But the whole way through was enthralled with the TV. And it's like, wait a second, this is nonsense. And it wasn't, And it would take a university course to unpack the genius of that video. I can't just explain it and don't think you know what I'm saying. And so that's it. The politician, that's great at rhetoric, can get you running with your emotions. The great ones usually have a more difficult time fighting that swampy current. But it's all there. And if all you have to do is just keep on doing your thing, because people will see it. If you watch enough of the politics, you'll be like, oh, like I happen to me. I'm like, oh, you shake your head, give your head, you're like, oh, this is nonsense. That's nonsense. I don't hate that person. I like that person. I think that they're a good person, but I think they're wrong, right? That's like, and that's not all what divinity is. But, and I'm not saying I even understand it all, but that's where I'm flying to, in my mind at least. The politics should be more in people's mind to raise all boats, if you will, to raise the whole country into a more place. It will sink some of the people. It'll put people in, and what do they call that? The gerbil, the hamster wheel. It'll put a lot of people in a hamster wheel. Lots. They were already there. It just, well, you'll just know that they're in a hamster wheel easy by their rhetoric and their complete unabashed anger, right? So I think it is helpful. The more people that get into it, and I think the more that they watch, the more people watch, the regular plebs, the more they watch, the more you get into it, the more potential there is. But those that are the ones that are the forces or try to be the forces of what we would call good or bad have to maintain their course and just like the boulder in the river, stand strong and let the current flow around you, and continue to repeat the same message over 20 years. Same messages, but the same message, if that's what you will. And I believe that the working class people all can be elevated. We need an education system that's available to all. It's been shrunk. I can't, you can't go to university. Like, come on. You have to have the money up front and this and that. Like, university at certain level, I believe that we have the technology now to get it free. I know there's a lot of books I can get on the internet, all free, and then as someone gets educated, maybe a job offer comes to them so then they can pay for it. But this is the idea of like, go work and this and that and get, I believe that the higher education for everyone is there. And maybe someone fails and takes 10 years to do the higher education. So what? As long as they get there, right? That's my opinion. And this is, I believe that Canada is the place where this message should shine through. I don't think right now in America it'll be very difficult to get it to shine through. In Europe, there's many countries that it could, to be honest. They're having a war problem now, though. So there's a lot of people going in that circle of hate. Like, I can't hate all Russians. I've known a few of them, and I like them. I don't agree what's happening, but to hate all Russians, and listen, this is I'm Ukrainian, right? I'm Canadian, but I have Ukrainian heritage, right? We celebrated Ukrainian Christmas, right? I got Ukrainian food. We called it patahat, not pierogies, right? This is how I was raised. So like, I don't know. I know more Russians than Ukrainians, so it's hard for me to hate. But if someone who's outside of it, it's easier. This is my long, over-winded speech that I'm probably sure that no one's even here. I shouldn't even discuss it. But this is my belief, and what I think our politicians, they take the easy route, and they're just like, get people out of it. We only want the choicest people that are already in a gang to be allowed. The problem is that we already know our circles, but the more voices and the more TV shows we have about the political subject, the more people will watch. The cancel culture has been proven not to work. It's actually degraded our society instead of brought it back. What I believe is, which I did on my channel, and I got someone can flag. The problem is that someone can flag me anonymously, and this cancel culture is a problem. But when I saw someone who would say something that was vehemently angry, or something very much against Muslims or something that I would, as long as sometimes I did allow some comments to go, right? As all the other channels have done. You think that other guy who's like says he's so open? No, I've done it. I've checked it out. It's like, well, my comments aren't seen. There's a way of checking it. But I believe that you just say to them, hey, I think that question, that what you just said is on the line of being against the law. And people are usually like, ooh, like people are, I think, especially Canadians, we're good people. And if they're a bot, they don't reply. I guess they can now, but most of the time they don't reply. That okay, we got a bot here. But most of the time people are like, oh, and they tone it down. They bring it to where they think the line there is. They don't realize it. And all it is just talking to someone. And this is what I mean by divinity. And geez, I, of course, do not say I am divine in any shape, way, there, or form. I'm trying, and I do have a little closer of an edge than some people who are a little bit more uncouth than me. Me 10 years ago, right? Like, are you filming this? I'm trying to make a comedy. I was always trying to make a comedy skit because I know I didn't have close friends, so I just make comedy skits and then get taken out of context, and you know what I mean? It's just bullshit, right? You know what I mean? You're like, come on, what are you doing? The real McCoy is if you ask me a question, I'll give you an answer, right? You can't just extrapolate a comedy skit, right? But this is where we're at right now. That's why comedy is having so much trouble. You can't even make a joke in public anymore. People will videotape you and then clip you out. It's just unbelievable. But the only way to address this is you got to shine, lux, you shine the light, right? Instead of just allowing the cancel, because we know who the people who are doing the cancel culture, they're usually not the good people of the earth. They're usually you know what I mean? And so I'm going to close this for 1 second so I can skip it.
In Hamilton, when you hire someone, they don't do a job.
There you go. All right. We got something going on. All right.
A process to get money back for tax
creation, because every day artificial and threatened on June another person stirs emotions and pull.
Yeah, I use AI on my pictures. I would love, if this is my truth, this is an excellent point that this individual is making. I would use AI. I use AI for the pictures. I'm writing little stories and stuff, and they're all 100% me. I don't even have. The only editor I have is which on YouTube, right, to correct my spelling mistakes, and I miss some. But I use pictures online. AI, right? This is what you take AI pictures, and you can see in the corner that I don't have it signed. It's signed with AI. I tell it what to do, so it is directed by me. I'm not telling you, give me pictures that coincide with the story I wrote. That would be, I don't know. I just don't. I feel that my creative ideas will be better than the AI. So I do it, and sometimes it gets it's surprisingly good at what I am envisioning in my head. It's surprisingly good at getting it. At first it wasn't, but this latest incarnation, I'm like surprised, like, wow, that's what I was almost picturing. Like, it's almost uncanny how well. I don't know if my explaining is getting better, but I don't think so. I don't know, maybe. But it's getting good. So I do believe, but if I had if I was making money and I could get an artist to do rendition, I would for sure. If I was making obviously it's for free, this channel, I would love it. I'd be so happy to have an artist do the pictures, even if it was just black and white, you know what I mean, to make it affordable, without the coloring. It's totally what I would want. Totally. It would be much more fun and much more collaborative. However, right, the economies of scale of me at this time making it basically free. Because I just do it there. There's no monetary. We're having an issue now that people who are pre-famous you're getting the boosts, and if you're not, you have to have money, and that works. Okay, I'm gonna have to just dump money, and the problem is with this type of art is the best aren't rising. This is where record labels actually are gonna and I don't mean record labels movie studios and stuff like that I think they're going to make a comeback. Record labels as well, because anybody can just put it on there, and if you sell enough drugs or whatever you have money from, maybe whatever reason you sell, you can get promoted, and you're getting 1 million views, and people are we're mostly sheep. So if we see something that has 1 million views, we just assume it's better. I'm guilty of it as well. I use that as a judge. The problem is that we're fully aware. Well, anyone who goes online now is fully aware that as soon as you have money involved, you have Google 5-star rate. Not Google is for much. They're a lot better at it now, actually, to be honest. But there's ways of manipulating it as well. You get Google 5-star rate. You don't get a 5-star rating. You can cheat to get yourself a 4-star rating. But you're not, when you get up to that, they have enough checks and balances. To be honest, they're getting better, but they're not there. You can pay for people to give you 50 people, free meals to give you a 5-star rating and a good thing, right? So it's manipulative, right? And that doesn't make it the best. But when someone who tries it, they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to trust that anymore, right? So that's why they're at least trying to make it better. But the problem, my personal opinion is the problem is online, is there's anonymity. And I'm cool with it being anonymity to the world, but you shouldn't have anonymity to the big sites. I don't know how to make it balanced. It's definitely an unbalance. But a lot of the problems stem online from this animated bot farms and all this stuff. It's because if you had to everyone had to put their bank card, and Google knew it, and it didn't get out, and it could be like 100% insured if $1 was missing, $1 up to any limit. Well, then it can happen. Until that day happens, but we're always going to have a problem with usernames and people that do one person with 30 devices, so different IP addresses, maybe different internet places, different locations, and they can just do reviews, clicks for likes, and all this stuff. Manipulate against someone. It happens to my channel. There was about 3, but it's about 30 people now. Maybe it's not that high, but up to 30 individuals. I have 30,000 people subscribed, but 30 people can do a hard manipulate on it. It happened just recently. All of a sudden, they just anyway. And so this type of issue, we had a law of you had to know your accuser, but the online anonymity, it's created more help assistance for the criminal mind. So as I digress, the internet and record labels and movie studios, right? Like we'll say Warner Brothers, I think are more likely, anyone is going to be able to make movies and make stuff like that. We're going to get bombarded, and it's starting to happen. But the proliferation of media is so high. But we're going to have someone who's works for an industry that can discern for us, because the selection is so big, what is good and what is not so good, because all art has its quality. I believe that in my unless it's nefarious, unless it's coming with a nefarious intent. But all art is great and good, especially that we're tired less jobs. But someone creating art, they're tapping, not always, but you're tapping into something, which Rick Rubin calls the source, and I will. The source, like a well, and you'll know it. You know it when you're in it. Very subtle. I try to be on this channel with using it or showing what I think, but it's there. It's a something. It's very, very subtle, but it's you're like, wow, I just know that's to be the way it is, and you don't know why. Why do I think it's got to be that color? I don't know, but it is that color until you work to find that vision, and when you find it, you're like, yep, that's it. That's what I was wanting, and why did you choose it like that? And the times that I find that when I'm really adamant about something like that, it to me is my best pieces or best art, and I don't obviously I'm but I have trouble with my art doing politics, so I think we're going to need studios, record labels, and all of this other stuff more going in the future, because there's going to be so much. Because you're going to be like, you know what? I trust the Warner Brother label to pay me to pay their artists properly, or I trust Disney label. Disney is sometimes it's too childish, but they're meant for kids. So I always got to be like, when there's a lot of people who scream and yell about how bad Disney is, it's like it's meant for kids. It's designed for children. Now sometimes the children and adults can all enjoy but a lot of times it's just not for you. But so for screaming and yelling and going and damn you, Post Malone, circles, going in circles, about something that isn't. They're not selling it to you. There's not they're selling it to anyone who'll buy it, but they're selling it to, directing it to the young mind, and you're getting upset. I don't think we do. Now when they were pushing things that are harmful in medical procedures, that was just to me off the wall. You don't do that to children. You to adults. Once you've hit the age of 18, bombard them. Right? I'm totally believe in the freedom of that. But with the children, no, it should be like you shouldn't even expose them to like hard negative thoughts and too much. I knew that kids that were well more advanced than me in that stuff, and they turned out to be very much wealthier than me, but cruel people in mind. And there's no need to be cruel. I don't see the need to be cruel. There's sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but there's no need to do it cruel, right? It's they live, right? So this is what I think going forward is going to happen is we're going to be like, I need that label, like Republica, and for choices of people, we're going to need that going forward. But the idea of canceling art, and I don't really say what I'm doing is really art, but it's a little bit. There's a like I can just say it's like a patina. It's a patina of art on top of the politics. And I try to be as little as possible. Remember, when I started this, no one was doing it. No one. Wow. It just wasn't happening. The politician would like put one video, but no, I was doing consistently and this and that. The only person was like the people who get money from the broadcasters, right? And for more so for moneyed interest, I think they've gotten a lot better. CPAC. I don't stream through CPAC. I don't use them. I don't much. It's sometimes a little clip here, but it's great that they think. And I got money. I would donate to them. Donate for sure to CPAC. It's an excellent service. It needs to be there. And the problem I don't know if they've gotten that way, but we have to. With a company like that is they have to have only the facts, always the facts, no hyperbole, and I also don't want to see pundits on them. Just this is what it is, and step back, and that's what I kind of try to do, but try to give an explainer to the blue collar worker as much as possible from my own mind, with the minimal research of decades, right, of an individual.
Since time immemorial, the arts have been an integral part of human life. From cave art in Lascaux through music, dance, and poetry, all the way to cinema, art has marked all peoples at all times. Art contributes to the beauty of the world. It inspires, stirs emotions, and gives meaning to our lives. To be awestruck by a work of art is an essential act. It's also the ability to project yourself into another person's life. In literature, it's our universal dimension, because creation is a human act, and today that very act is threatened. On June 9th, representatives of over 25,000 artists from Quebec published their manifesto in defense of authentic creation, because every day artificial intelligence steals works of art without consent or remuneration. AI-generated content must be identified, and the government must protect creators and copyrights. Culture is the human condition.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize a great company in my riding, Bay of Quinte, that is celebrating a major milestone this month. Located in Wapous, the County Cider Company is now 30 years in business this June as Ontario's longest-running craft cider company. County Cider first started fermenting cider for the public back in 1995. Founded by Grant Howes, known as the grandfather of Ontario cider, who passed in 2017, he created an institution that now attracts thousands of tourists each season. County Cider is now helmed by Grant's partner, Jennifer Dean, who continues this legacy of helping others in the industry and promoting the county at large. This Saturday, June 14th, they're hosting an anniversary party at their estate. All are welcome. For its importance to Prince Edward County and the Ontario craft cider industry as a whole, I want to congratulate County Cider on this incredible accomplishment. Thank you, Mr.
The Honourable Member for Provencher.
Mr. Speaker, as Canadians prepare to celebrate Canada Day, we are reminded of the foundations upon which our country was built. When the Fathers of Confederation founded this country in 1867, they recognized that Canada's strength would rest not only on law and government, but on the recognition of God's authority. There are 25 verses from the Bible in the architecture of Parliament, like Psalm 72, which says, "He shall have dominion from sea to sea." From these stone walls, the words taken from God's word remind us that freedom doesn't come from bureaucrats, global bodies, or unelected elites. It comes from hard work, personal responsibility, and recognition of a higher authority. These words teach us that good government needs vision, justice, and accountability to the people and to God. As Canada Day approaches, let us give thanks to God for the blessings of freedom, peace, and abundance, and recommit ourselves to be faithful to the biblical principles that have guided our nation since its birth. God keep our land glorious and free.
The Honourable Member for Dartmouth-Cole Harbour.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to pay tribute to Dartmouth-Cole Harbour's Anne Ring, an extraordinary educator, athlete, and community leader whose warmth and spirit touched all who knew her. Anne led with heart in everything that she did, from hatching chicks in her classroom for the students to empowering young minds as a beloved principal. She brought joy and creativity to learning and believed deeply in the potential of every child. A national record-holding swimmer, ringette player, paddler, coach, and Girl Guide leader. Anne's energy was boundless. She skydived, scuba dived, rode motorcycles, and lived the life fully and fearlessly. I had the pleasure of getting to know Anne better through her passionate work to preserve and modernize the Banook Canoe Club. She was kind, smart, and deeply committed to leaving this legacy for future generations on the lakes she loved. Anne Ring led a remarkable life. My thoughts are with her, her husband, and all those who knew her and loved her. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Algonquin, Renfrew, Pembroke.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to honour MPP John Yakubuski, recently retired for Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke. Following in his father, Paul Yakubuski's footsteps, John was first elected in 2003. His 22 years of service left an indelible mark. I heard him called Paul as often as John. He always took that as a compliment, having lived up to his father's standards. John was the singing MP, not just O Canada on solemn occasions, but crooning a repertoire of Macbeth. As Minister of Natural Resources, John was a steadfast leader during Ottawa Valley crises, swiftly mobilizing aid to combat spring floods and marshalling firefighters against summer wildfires. His compassion shone through in initiatives like his 2010 album, Taking Care, raising funds for long-term care homes. John's legacy is one of service, song, and strength. We salute the remarkable contributions he made to the Ottawa Valley.
The Honourable Member for Eglinton Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Monday, I had the opportunity to visit the Nova exhibition in my riding of Eglinton Lawrence for the second time, but it was my first visit alongside the Member of Parliament for Toronto St. Paul's and the Prime Minister. The exhibition commemorates the brutal massacres carried out by Hamas at the Nova Music Festival on October 7, 2023, which tragically claimed the lives of 1,200 Israelis, including 8 Canadians, took over 251 men, women, and children hostage. The exhibition is deeply moving as it retraces the harrowing events of October 7th and highlights the resilience of those who attended the festival. Sadly, it requires heightened security, a stark reminder of the continued threats faced by the Jewish community. Just this week, the National Holocaust Monument was vandalized right here in Ottawa. We must stand united against the global rise of anti-Semitism. This exhibition stands as a timely and powerful call to confront anti-Semitism. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Yorkton Melville.
Speaker, 1 year ago today, the Standing Committee on Veterans Affairs released a landmark report. Invisible No More, the experience of Canadian women veterans was the first of its kind, finally putting on record their unique and often painful stories. From poor equipment, more likely to injure than protect, to unimaginable sexual trauma, more than 50 women showed their immense courage in sharing with the committee the realities of their service. A tireless advocate for women veterans, Dr. Karen Breck, rightly said, "I hope a day like this isn't just about appreciation for our service. I hope it becomes a day when women veterans engage with their communities and their parliamentarians to work together towards making things better for the next generation of women who wish to serve their country." Speaker, I'm honored and humbled to stand in the presence of the incredible veterans joining us today in recognition of Women's Veterans Appreciation Day. This is not a day for meaningless platitudes, but measurable action. It's my hope that this report paves the way for countless more women to serve Canada with pride and dignity.
The honourable member for South Shore St. Margaret.
As I rise today with my first member statement, I do so with deep gratitude to the fine people of South Shore St. Margaret's. Thank you. For placing their trust in me in this historic election. I want to thank my partner Ken, my daughter, the thousands of students that I taught for over 17 years in my career as an educator, and my family and friends for being my rock. I also want to thank the incredible volunteers who gave their time, their energy, and knowledge in this effort. We concluded with 87 events in a 37-day election. South Shore St. Margaret's, we are the heart of Canada's ocean playground, from Barrington to Tantallon, Caledonia to Lunenburg. Our region is strong, resilient, and full of heart. And together now in this House, let's invest and build in a future guided by compassion, opportunity, partnerships, and strength, equally in rural Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Calgary Signal Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Liberal government has spent 10 years strangling Canada's energy sector with red tape and anti-energy law and policy. The world came to us to ask for our help in supporting their energy security, and the Liberal Prime Minister said no, there was no business case. The fact is, Mr. Speaker, pipelines and infrastructure won't be built because of 4 Liberal laws: C-69, the No New Pipelines Act; C-48, the West Coast shipping ban; the job-killing oil and gas production cap; and the industrial carbon tax. Canada does not need the Liberal government to build pipelines. Canada needs the Liberal government to get out of the way so that our private sector can build our infrastructure and, in fact, make Canada an energy superpower. Canadians call on the Liberal government to repeal their anti-energy laws and not just add more red tape to the pile. Let's stop the
The honourable member for Montcalm. Mr. Speaker, Mascouche is celebrating its 275th anniversary. This city, whose original Algonquin name means bear cub, is one of the oldest communities in Quebec. Known for its history and architecture, it's a city that has transcended history. From one century to the next, it has constantly reinvented itself. It stands out for its unique balance between nature and urban life. This duality gives it a certain je ne sais quoi, and it creates a unique atmosphere. And I know what I'm talking about, Mr. Speaker. I've lived there for 35 years. When I think of Mascouche, I think of the moor gardens, the horse trails, the walking trails of the seigneurial estate, the wonderful farmland, the chez nous du communautaire, the Grand Tribot, the festivals, the theater, chapeau, frisson, and many family celebrations that make Mascouche the town for young families. To the people of Mascouche, happy 275th.
The honourable member for Etobicoke Centre.
Mr. Speaker, June 13th marks the second annual National Long-Term Care Day in Canada, and whether it's in Etobicoke Centre or across Canada, Long-term care plays a vital role in the health and the quality of care of Canadians. In fact, over 200,000 Canadians currently reside in long-term care across Canada. Today is important for a number of reasons. First of all, to remember the importance of long-term care. Secondly, to thank the volunteers, the staff, the family members who give care to seniors in our long-term care homes. But it's also a day when we can redouble our efforts to improve the quality of care of long-term care across Canada. Many seniors receive very good care, but there are still too many seniors in long-term care who don't receive the quality of care that they deserve. That's why I'm proud, along with a number of caucus colleagues, to have advocated a number of years ago for the federal government to establish national standards for long-term care. And the federal government, did that. Now we need the provinces to adopt those standards if we're going to make a difference for seniors in long-term care. So I hope that today we take this opportunity to advocate with provincial governments across Canada that they adopt national standards so seniors get the quality of care that they deserve. Thank you.
I would eat his bread. His bread rises in my mind. He's one of the better
Mr.
MPs
Speaker,
out there.
The Auditor General's report is damning. GC Strategies got $64 million from the Liberal government, in many cases without any proof that any work was actually done. GC Strategies is a two-person company. They got $64 million since the Liberals took office. The original estimate for the Arrive Can app was $80,000. The final cost was $64 million. Not double, not triple, not 4 times, 800 times the estimated cost. In any private company, all employees along the chain of command up to the highest level would be fired. But guess what? Here, the ministers got promoted. Today, the Conservatives are tabling a motion calling for Canadians to get their money back and for GC Strategies to be banned for life. I hope the vote's unanimous.
Sackville, Bedford, Preston.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to celebrate 2 local organizations in Sackville, Bedford, Preston that were recently selected for 2025 Field of Dreams grant through the Jays Care Foundation. Sackville Minor Baseball will receive funding from the Toronto Blue Jays official charity to refurbish Les Mayo Field in Lower Sackville, while the LWF Hardball Association will see upgrades to George P. Vanier Field in Waverley. These upgrades are part of a national push to revamp local ball fields and give more kids a chance to play in safe, welcoming spaces. Sport gives young people more than just exercise. It teaches teamwork and discipline. It helps kids find their footing, build friendships, and feel like they belong on and off the field. Summer is coming, Mr. Speaker, and with it, the boys and girls of summer will soon be playing the great game of baseball on improved fields thanks to the Jays Care Foundation. Good luck to all players and coaches, and have a wonderful season. Thank you.
The honourable member for Battleford, Lloydminster, Meadow Lake.
Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General's damning Arrive Can audit confirms that this Liberal government's failed to protect taxpayers' money. An app that was supposed to cost $80,000 ballooned to at least $60 million. And due to the poor record keeping, the true total may never be known. The Liberals handed GC Strategies contracts despite it being under RCMP investigation and lacking proper security clearances. They didn't verify qualifications, they didn't verify market rates, and in many cases didn't even confirm that the work was done. That's not just incompetence, it's negligence. And the Trudeau ministers responsible, they got promoted. GC Strategies gets to keep the cash while Canadians are struggling to make ends meet. Accepting the Auditor General's findings is simply not enough. The Liberals must take action, recover the wasted funds, and repay Canadian taxpayers.
The honourable member for Saint Leonard, Saint Michel.
Speaker, as an Italian Canadian and member of Parliament representing the riding of Saint Leonard Saint Michel, I am honoured to rise in recognition of the Italian Heritage Month. Held in June, Canadians have the opportunity to celebrate the vibrant culture, customs and traditions, as well as the invaluable contributions of Italian communities across Canada. Mon héritage.
My Italian heritage has deeply shaped who I am today. It's an honor that I carry with pride, but humbly.
Cuisine to fashion, From science and technology to the lifestyle of La Dolce Vita, the influence of Italian Canadians is woven into the fabric of our society. Throughout this month, Canadians are invited to discover and commemorate the Italian legacy and recognize the ongoing contributions of new generations who continue to shape our country with passion, dedication, and pride. Tanti auguri per il mese del patrimonio italiano.
The honourable member for Medicine Hat, Cardston.
Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General just released a scathing audit on Arrive scam contractor GC Strategies. Last year, the government awarded 106 contracts to GC, worth a total of $92 million, with $64 million already paid out. 50% of these contracts did not enforce security requirements. Much of the work performed was not monitored. Many contractors did not have the experience or qualifications needed. Procurement policies were not followed, and there was no demonstration of value for money, nor that deliverables were actually received. But yet, unbelievably, they kept authorizing payment. Every time there is a Liberal corruption scandal, it seems that the ministers responsible get promoted and the taxpayer gets the bill. Conservatives are calling on the government to get taxpayers their money back within 100 days and oppose a lifetime contracting ban on GC Strategies. Canadians are watching to see if this government will actually support them and getting their money back, Mr. Speaker.
All right. The honourable member for Ottawa West Nepean.
Mr. Speaker, throughout history, women have stepped up to serve our country in the Canadian Armed Forces. From the Wrens in World War II to the Persian Gulf War, where women first served in combat roles, to today with a female Chief of Defence Staff. Women have come a long way, but it was not always easy. For the women veterans who still suffer today from health issues, military sexual trauma, and other harms that were caused not by our adversaries, but by a military culture that didn't recognize that you can't have a fully capable fighting force without full inclusion. We owe it to them to do better. 1 year ago today, the Veterans Affairs Committee tabled a seminal report called Invisible No More. Today, some of the brave women who testified are visiting Parliament to ask that all the recommendations be fully implemented and that June 12th be Women Veteran Appreciation Day. To them and all service women, we thank them and we see them. Thank you.
Oral questions, questions orales. Member for Haldimand Norfolk.
But we're dealing with the same old Liberal scandals. The Auditor General has released a report against the Liberal government on the multi-million-dollar Arrive Can debacle. The Liberals gave $64 million to GC Strategies, a two-person IT firm that did no actual work and is currently under RCMP investigation. Wow. Today, this House is considering our Conservative motion to get Canadians their money back within 100 days. Will the Liberals vote to give back the $64 million to Canadians? Yes?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, we will address that question in a moment, but I am devastated to learn of the Air India crash that occurred earlier this morning. The flight was carrying 242 people, one of whom was Canadian. We are in touch with our international partners, and I have been speaking with Canadians this morning. I am sure that all members of this House will join in extending our collective condolences to the families of those who have lost loved ones this morning. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Haldimand Norfolk.
Mr. Speaker, we also extend condolences to the families. Mr. Speaker, these Liberals should not be dodging accountability. They want to hide their scandals from Canadians, but the Auditor General report is very, very clear. This Liberal government ignored the rules and allowed insiders to profit to the tune of $64 million. Wow. The Liberals have shown a complete disdain for hard-working Canadians by promoting the very same ministers who engaged in the cronyism and corruption. Why should wasteful Liberal politicians get promoted while Canadian taxpayers get a $64 million bill?
The Honourable Minister for Government Transformation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'd just like to note that we've implemented the measures recommended by the Auditor General in previous reports as well as internal audits. We have revoked the security clearance of GC Strategies. We have terminated all contracts with GC Strategies. We've barred GC Strategies from future contracts with the Government of Canada. We've taken legal action against GC Strategies. We've referred cases to the RCMP because, Mr. Speaker, we will never tolerate misconduct from our suppliers or their subcontractors. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies.
The Auditor General released a scathing audit this week on the top Arrive scam contractor, GC Strategies. This two-person company, under RCMP investigation, received a jaw-dropping $64 million from these Liberals. And the old ministers responsible for this all got promoted by this Prime Minister and are sitting as ministers right there, right now. Wow. Canadians are incensed by these same old Liberal ministers continuing in their corrupt ways. A simple question for their Prime Minister: when are Canadians going to get their money back?
The Honourable Minister for Government Transformation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We will always protect the integrity of our procurement process, which is why we've implemented recommendations from the Auditor General, from past reports, such as increased transparency, strengthening oversight, clarifying the roles, the responsibilities across departments. We will always hold bad actors to account, which is why, Mr. Speaker, we've taken legal actions against GC Strategies. We've referred cases to the RCMP. We will always protect the integrity of our procurement process.
The Honourable Member for Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies.
That answer doesn't cut it for Canadians struggling to pay their bills in record numbers. These old Liberals have turned a ride scam into a masterclass in rewarding failure and corruption. The old ministers responsible for this scam are the same old ministers sitting over there as cabinet ministers right now. These same old ministers are ignoring the rules, allowing their insiders to get rich with taxpayers' hard-earned money. Why do corrupt Liberal ministers keep getting promoted and Canadians keep getting the bill?
That's a good question. The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me be absolutely clear. We will never tolerate misconduct from our suppliers or their subcontractors, which is why we've taken legal action against GC Strategies. We've referred cases to the RCMP. We've barred them from contracting with the Canadian government. We've revoked their security clearance, Mr. Speaker. This is the mandate we've been elected on to make sure that we have the best-in-class procurement system in this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Bellechasse, Les Etchemins-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General has confirmed what Conservatives feared. The Liberal government paid over $60 million for a project that should have cost just $80,000. What's the result? Waste and incompetence. And yet no minister lost their job. And what's worse, they got a reward in being promoted in cabinet. Will the Prime Minister do the honourable thing and vote in favour of our motion to give this money back to Canadian taxpayers? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We will always protect the integrity of our procurement system. That's why we are implementing the recommendations made by the Auditor General in her previous report. That's why, Mr. Speaker, we have referred cases to the RCMP. We've taken legal action against GC Strategies. We've taken away their security clearance. We have terminated all contracts with GC Strategies, and they're barred from contracting with the Government of Canada for the next 7 years. Why? Because we will never tolerate misconduct from our suppliers or their contractors. The Honourable Member for Bellechasse, Les Etchemins-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General's report is scathing. Contracts were given without any competition, without any oversight, and without any justification. And while Canadians are getting poorer, The Liberals are making certain companies richer, and they're promoting the ministers responsible for this fiasco. Can the Prime Minister explain why, instead of requiring accountability, he's rewarding those who allowed this wasting of public funds? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to be crystal clear. We will never accept any misconduct from our suppliers or their contractors. We will always hold them responsible, and that's why, Mr. Speaker, we've terminated all contracts with GC Strategies over a year ago. We took away their security clearance. We will prevent them from contracting with the Government of Canada for the next 7 years. And, Mr. Speaker, we've also taken legal action against GC Strategies. We've referred cases to the RCMP. Why? Because we will always protect the integrity of our procurement system. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister will be moving closure on C5. The House has been sitting just for 3 weeks, and already he wants to steamroll a bill through the House, and not just any bill. C5 would give the Prime Minister the power to govern by decree when it comes to fossil fuel projects. Bill C5 completely guts environmental assessments. Bill C5 threatens Quebec's powers and the rights of Indigenous peoples. It makes no sense to impose this bill without debate, without committee study, and without hearing from witnesses. Will the Prime Minister let Parliament do its job? The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons. Mr. Speaker, Canadians and Quebecers
Okay. Oh, sure. Okay, I hope that this Steve McKinnon hasn't done an excellent job. I find that Quebec, Bloc Québécois, have had the position of, like, the right position today. And whether you agree with the bill or not, with the majority of it, I think that politicians are elected to debate and to allow the voices that are against it to speak, and then to give for the people that are for it their best answer of why. And that's how Westminster system is designed. It's not winner takes all. It's whoever wins that riding, and they get a voice. They get a voice for their people or their constituents or the people that they believe that they should be fighting for. And in the end, it comes to a vote. Now, we have a minority government, very close to a majority. So a minority government means that they should be debating everything, maybe expediting it, but normally a law or a bill goes, it gets reading, and then reading, and then it gets taken back. They change things, and then it goes to committee. They let people that are in the know talk about it, discuss it, and then it goes back to Parliament. Now, they could do it in a compressed format, I think, like 2 meetings a day in committee, this and that, to help it go faster, have the readings go faster. But the idea of no debate, just vote on it, in a minority government, in the Westminster system, I totally disagree with. If I was in government, I would want it that way, because you don't want to have debate, you don't want the headache. But that's not how our system works, and it's odd to me that the Bloc Québécois are the ones right now under the Bloc. They're the ones that are advocating for the Westminster type system, which is from United Kingdom. Which, I'm not British or anything, but I believe that the British back in the day, Magna Carta, they figured out the best system. It's very divisive in a lot of ways. It makes things hard to move fast, but to me, it doesn't give the teeter-totter which you see happening in America. It's awfully slow, and it puts too much in the hands of bureaucrats, but incremental change is what's designed in it. And I'm not disagreeing with most of the act, but I'm disagreeing with the idea of not debating it. And it's the Bloc that this point and another point later on have the best points in today. Today, the winner in this today, by me, the first, second, and third star is a Bloc Québécois. And I don't like that. I don't like saying that, because I really want Quebec to be a part of my country in every shape, way, and form, completely weaved. But they have good politicians, and under Blanchette, he said that question will never come up. So under this current leadership, the Bloc Québécois is good, and they're in this incarnation.
Spoke loud and clear of the necessity of transforming our economy. Yes, in part because of the trade war, which was provoked illegally by our friends, our neighbors to the south. And we are here to pivot towards a modern economy to help growth in this country, to give good jobs to Quebecers, good jobs to Canadians across the country. So, Mr. Speaker, this bill is necessary and it will move forward. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is going to need to leave the banker behind. He's going to need to learn how to act like a Democrat. C5 raises major debates about the environment and Quebec's sovereignty over its own territory. If there's any bill that just needs to be studied thoroughly, it's this one. The Prime Minister has no right to impose C5 under closure when the bill gives him exceptional powers, unlike anything that we've seen before. Is that the Prime Minister's intention, to bypass Parliament and govern by decree like Donald Trump? The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons. Mr. Speaker, Quebecers elected 44 Liberal members. That's the highest number of Liberal members from Quebec since 1980. They all ran under a Liberal platform that on page 1 spoke about the necessity of acting quickly to accelerate growth in this country, to break down barriers between provinces and create one Canadian economy. We are acting in a democratic way, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, the 44 Liberals from Quebec all voted yesterday to steal $814 million from Quebecers. The Liberals from Quebec voted to make Quebecers pay for election gifts for Canadians. The Liberals from Quebec voted against the unanimous request of the National Assembly of Quebec to reimburse Quebecers. The Liberals elected by Quebecers, who were afraid that the Conservatives would take us back to the Stone Age, abolished the carbon tax, and then they rewarded Canadians with our money. Mr. Speaker, aren't they ashamed of working against their own constituents? The Honourable Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to remind my colleague with respect that we still have a carbon price in Canada for big polluters, for major emitters, and that reduces 3 times the number of emissions as the consumer carbon price. It's a strong carbon pricing system, and the federal price per ton is double the price in Quebec, $59 in Quebec. It's $59 in Quebec and $85 for Canada. We will continue to build a strong economy for Canada while protecting the environment.
Speaker, Liberal consultants are getting millions in contracts without the required security clearances or experience. Worse, they don't even have to do any work. The Auditor General found evidence that nearly half of government contracts were paid but not actually completed. While Liberal insiders get rich, Canadian families struggle to pay for food. In true Liberal fashion, of course, the ministers responsible have been promoted by this Prime Minister. So when will this government support today's Conservative motion to ensure that Canadians get their money back?
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the Auditor General for her report. We've already acted on previous recommendations she's put forward. We've taken legal action against GC Strategies. We've referred cases to the RCMP because we will never tolerate bad behavior from our suppliers or their contractors. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Haliburton-Kawartha Lakes.
Speaker, it's clear the Prime Minister has the backs of Liberal insiders and backroom cronies, not hard-working Canadians. It's business as usual for this Prime Minister, who has no plans to cut the gravy train to Liberal consultants, which have no intention to actually complete work. While the RCMP investigate fraud on Canadians, those ministers responsible, they get a pat on the back and they get promoted. Will the Prime Minister today impose a lifetime ban on the founders of GC Strategies and all aligned entities and individuals, and of course, get Canadians their money back?
Okay, I think that this is it's very much over the top of and just my uneducated, college educated, uneducated opinion. The idea that you're going to ban someone for life, they haven't been charged criminally, and even if you're going to do that, to ban them for life is, to me, outrageous. The idea that I have it right here for you. Okay, so here it is, the bill, the written up. That given, the Auditor General found that ArriveCan contractor GC Strategies Inc. was paid $64 million from the Liberal government, and in many cases there was no proof that any work was completed. The House call on the government to Alpha A, get taxpayers their money back within 100 days. Okay. So that right there, adoption of this motion, right? That first one, the first one right there, nullifies it and makes sure that this won't go anywhere. It's good for clips, but that's it. The first one, within 100 days, $63 million. Impose a lifetime contracting ban on GC Strategies Inc. Any of its subsidiaries, its founders, Christian Firth, and I know I shouldn't say his name, and the founders too, and any other entities which those individuals are affiliated. Wow, that to me seems stronger than need be. They said they're going to ban it from 7 years. This company for 7 years, but the idea that you can just eliminate them forever without a criminal charge. If there's a criminal charge, then it makes more sense. But the idea that that you're going to ban them for life, it's just out to learn. Couldn't do, and that was worth lots of money, right? That more than anything, I think. Now there are some things going on. The RCMP have to do their job, part of it. I'm not trying to defend the company, but I'm just trying to show that there was a value in, though it wasn't work, or wasn't shown work, there was work in the background of getting things done for the government of the day. And no one liked the ArriveCan app. Everyone thought it was abhorrent, it was disgusting, and it was a total violation. That's besides the point. They got this company to do things that people really totally disagree with, but you can't pin that on the company. You can pin it on the government of the day, and the government of the day didn't do a mea culpa, which I think they should do. Like, I'm sorry, we overstepped our bounds on this app, and we shouldn't do it again. That if they don't, since they haven't done it, it shows they will do it again. And so, like the happening online and everything, you're just being tracked, and the government doesn't care because they like the control of it. Instead of using rhetoric and keep on wearing people down with good speech and better explanations, they've decided to lean into this app kind of type stuff. And there's no proof of this. This is just my opinions. But without the mea culpa, to me, that's what it says. And they're basically going to continue doing that in cancel culture. It seems to be a method. Now, they've also retracted a bit on the handing out of drugs for people, which is yet another, to me, is another way of canceling someone. You cancel someone by giving them a drug that's 40 or 50 times more addictive than heroin. Well, you're canceled. You're basically, if you give someone that or like free, whatever, maybe they went to the government and got it for the first time. Who knows? Maybe they lied to get it. Who knows? But if you're giving people this stuff that's that heavily addicting, you've canceled them. You're canceling
For security clearance, we've taken legal actions against GC Strategies. We've referred cases to the RCMP because we'll never tolerate bad actions from suppliers or their contractors. But when he talks about having the backs of Canadians, Mr. Speaker, they have an opportunity to support a tax cut for 22 million Canadians right after question period. Hopefully they'll do it for a change. Thank you.
Member for Newtecumseh-Gwillimbury.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberal government ignored procurement rules, accountability, and basic common sense to funnel sweetheart contracts to their friends at GC Strategies, the ones who are behind ArriveCan. They handed out an eye-watering $64 million in taxpayer money to these Liberal insiders with no evidence that any work was actually completed. Will the Liberals take responsibility, show respect to Canadian taxpayers, and get the money back?
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation.
Mr. Speaker, I think I've made it abundantly clear in previous answers that we will always protect the integrity of our procurement process, which is why we've taken legal actions against GC Strategies. We've referred cases to the RCMP. And, Mr. Speaker, we will always hold bad actors to account. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for New Tecumseh Gwillimbury.
Mr. Speaker, that answer wouldn't take the scum off rice pudding. The report from the Auditor General was clear. No work was done. The only thing delivered was a check to Liberal insiders. Despite an RCMP investigation and 64 million wasted, the cabinet ministers responsible weren't fired, they were promoted. New titles, bigger offices, all courtesy of this Prime Minister. Talk about failing upwards. Why is it that under this Liberal government, failure is rewarded and Canadian taxpayers get stuck with the bill?
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And as I've noted before, we will always defend the integrity of our procurement process. We will never tolerate any form of misconduct from our suppliers or their contractors, which is why we've revoked GC Strategies security clearance. We've terminated all contracts more than a year ago. Now the Office of Supply Integrity has barred them from contracting with the Canadian government. We've referred cases to the RCMP. We've taken legal actions. Why, Mr. Speaker? Because we will always hold bad actors responsible. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Quebec Mactaquac.
What a complete and totally comprehensive non-answer that was. Earlier this week, the Auditor General released their scathing audit stating that the GC Strategies was paid $64 million for the ArriveCan app with little to no evidence of any work having been completed. The Auditor General made note that this is just one example of a likely widespread issue. Mr. Speaker, there may be a new Prime Minister, but it's the same old Liberal government. Will the Prime Minister stand up today, vote for our Conservative motion to return this money to hard-working Canadian taxpayers, yes or no?
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank the Auditor General for her work and note that we've acted on all the recommendations that she's put forward in the past, but we didn't stop there. We ended all contracts with GC Strategies over a year ago. We've taken away their security clearance. We've taken legal action against GC Strategies. We've referred cases to the RCMP. Why? Well, it's simple, because we will always defend the integrity of our procurement system, and we will always hold bad actors and their contractors accountable. The Honourable Member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General published in her report on Tuesday that the Liberal government did not respect the rules concerning contracts given to GC Strategies. $64 million were given to this company, made up of just 2 people. And what's more, there's no proof that any work was done. The Conservatives have presented a motion this morning which would prevent this government from getting government contracts for life. Will the Liberal government vote with us and pay back Canadians?
Okay. The block gets the first 2 stars. The third star goes to Leslyn Lynn Lewis. But the first 2 stars, pick your Bloc Québécois. That's Leslie Lynn Lewis, I think. That's because she got the first question in, and but there is that it's a valid point to go. I wish that the Conservatives would have also chose to discuss the debate of C5 or the lack of debate on C5, as it's kind of an obfuscation of their duty. Even when you agree with the bill, there's probably some parts of the bill that you do not agree with, and like maybe we should bring this to committee and maybe let's do 2 meetings a day to expedite it, and every day, no space in between, pun intended. My opinion that's it, or no summer vacation. They're going on summer vacation, and then they're eliminating debate with a minority government. It's a thin minority, but they're minority government. That means that the 40% of the citizens did not agree with it, and just because they went with the Conservatives was the other one doesn't mean that the people were voting for conservative values of pipelines and stopping debate. Like, if the Conservatives are putting forward bills, they may not be like these ones. So it's I don't think it's I don't think that this election gave them the people gave this government a blank check to just push these things through debate. And the reason I'm saying it now is I hope that there's one person on the Liberal side listening, because you're going to have problems down the line. Quebec will be the first, because Quebec really is the most environmentally besides BC, and you're going to feel that's happening. And I think the Bloc Québécois leader made the best point today, is like, people voted against the Conservatives because a lot of people felt that the oil was bringing us back into the Stone Age, and they didn't trust that the Conservatives would work well against Trump. Well, that Trump problem is basically, it's coming down in most people's hearts and minds. It's not completed, of course, the tariff deals, but it looks like they're coming down. Like everything, when something new happens, especially when the elephant down south moves, we panic and over panicked. I think that we should immediately make rules of all steel. Any government project right now has to be 100% Canadian steel. First thing, they should just do that right now, and just say, you know what, even though it may cost more, that's how contracts go in Canada. The lowest bid wins, even if it's $1 less. It's very, very, very poor. They should just say, if there's any steel in any of our current projects, we have to convert it to Canadian until the thing, and then set 3, 4, 5 bureaucrats on that to make sure that, and working with the steel companies of Canada, so they can produce said steel for the projects that are ongoing right now, and break contract with it as they broke contract with us, right? So since America broke contract, we could break contract with American companies under the same guise, right? And it doesn't need to be overly harsh, because I believe that this is just a temporary measure, and they will come back down as soon as the China deal and the other country deals are settled. I feel that Canada and stuff like that will also find that, and probably I'm thinking September, by August, right? September 1st. I believe that would be, honestly, the tariffs will be at levels that we find agreeable. But
the Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and the member will be happy to know that the Office of Supplier Integrity that we put in place took a decision last week to prevent GC Strategies from contracting with the Government of Canada. But over a year ago, we ended all contracts with GC Strategies. We took legal action against the company. We referred cases to the RCMP. And why, Mr. Speaker? Because we will never tolerate misconduct from our suppliers or their contractors. The Honourable Member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, we're not saying they should be terminated for 7 years. We're saying they should be barred for life. It's just scandal after scandal from this Liberal government. The Liberals ignore the rules, they let their friends get rich, and it's taxpayers in Beauce and across Canada who are paying the price. The Prime Minister had the opportunity to change things by replacing the ministers responsible for this. But no, what did he do? He promoted them. Why, with the Liberals, are politicians always rewarded, and why is it Canadians who have to pay the bill? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We will always defend the integrity of our procurement system, and that's why, Mr. Speaker, over a year ago we
a process to get money back for tax. A process to get money back for taxpayers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Indeed, I'm sorry to interrupt, and the member will have 16 minutes after the vote to continue his speech. Statements by members. Déclaration des députés. L'honorable député.
The honourable member for Rosemont-la-Petite-Patrie. Since time
okay,
the arts have been an integral part of human life. From
just have had yet another glitchy.
The honourable member for Kamloops, Thompson, Nicola.
Invitations to Modi, Ben Salman.
Now here's the second part of the question of the day. I guess this is why it glitched out. So I believe that this question, coming up in a few seconds. Right coming now is about the number 2 win for the blocks, the number 2 star, maybe 1 or 2, who knows? That doesn't really. But what I think that the question needs to be asked. I'm surprised that the Conservatives didn't ask it. Maybe the NDP will in the end. I'm not sure. Though this is later in the timing. I believe the answer should have been, we are going to make firm commitment to the rule of law on this issue, and this is what we're going to invite him here. Yes, economic issues are going to be discussed, but we have a planned meeting with top people of these administrations, the people they labeled, to discuss these matters. We don't believe that they are insurmountable measures that will stop us from debating or discussing with these allies. Because they are allies if we have World War III, they will be our allies. And though we have large disagreement, it would be. That's what I think it should have been. How the answer should have came is that we'll work it out. But it definitely has been an issue. There's a very large constituency. Even a Liberal was on CTV yesterday. Delwally, I think his name was, and he said, he goes, every time I speak to the people in my riding, this is a big issue, and he literally is like way off. He says that we are not right as a Liberal on doing this. I think he's a little bit. No, that's his stance on it. So the opposition, I would think they would also have it, especially with Halan and stuff. But as I said, you negotiate with you know what I mean. You don't need to negotiate with people you have no gripe, right? So there is an answer to this, but I'm not sure if it actually it was said as articulately as well as or whatever. I don't say it well, but like that. As I ramble, let's see what they have to say. India is our super ally. They are our ally economically. There is a issue happening right now with certain elements, possibly related to the government. Maybe not. Is it insurmountable that we can't meet with them, with their government officials? I don't think so. I think that, you even negotiate with your enemies, right? You don't need to negotiate with everyone you have a 100% agreement with. So I think that there's something that they should say, hey, we're going to work on. That's why he's coming here, or they're coming here, the 3 people he mentions. And we're going to work on these issues. And at the end of the summit, you'll see the outcome. We will show you the outcome. And we'll, you know what I mean? And you work your damnedest to hold your arms together and raise your arms together and say, yes, we found a solution, right? Like a declaration from their government saying, we will make sure that there's no rogue elements working against anything to do with Canada, as Canada is one of our greatest allies. Something like this, right? A sign of unity. And we're say we're going to ask for that, and it'll make them look good. It'll make you guys look good. It'll make everyone look good. La di da di da. Here it is.
On this side of the House, we will always hold accountable bad actors. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Lac-Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, what do a foreign sponsor of the assassination of a Canadian on Canadian soil, a tyrant who ordered the dismemberment of a journalist in a Turkish consulate, and a tortuous leader who silences all forms of opposition have in common? I'll give you a hint, Mr. Speaker. They will all be the Prime Minister's honoured guests at the G7. We certainly wouldn't want human rights to get in the way of good business opportunities. That's the new Liberal government for you. Will the Prime Minister see reason and cancel these terrible invitations immediately? The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Speaker, the world is facing an international security crisis. We must never forget that our sovereignty and our security and our prosperity are linked closely to general global stability. Canada believes in cooperation, and the G7 is an essential forum, Mr. Speaker, which allows leaders from around the world to have productive and frank discussions. Mr. Speaker, security, stability, and protection are necessary for Canadians. At the same time, we need to have these conversations. The Honourable Member for Lac-Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, to those fleeing persecution, terror, and war, wrote Justin Trudeau, welcome to Canada. We all remember the fiasco that tweet caused and the impact that it had on our ability to welcome people to Canada. Nevertheless, Justin Trudeau wanted to welcome the persecuted, and now the new Prime Minister has chosen to welcome the persecutors. Mr. Speaker, are there any Liberals on the other side who will speak to their leader, the Prime Minister, and ask him to cancel his invitations to Modi, Ben Salman, and Ben Zayed? Or do we have to understand that for the Liberals right now, human rights, well, they've just been thrown out the door? The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Speaker, as I've already said, the G7 is an important forum for international discussions with international leaders. At the same time, we have to have the necessary conversations around security and around the protection of our citizens, of Canadians. That is our absolute priority, Mr. Speaker. And we will act. We will protect Canadians.
Okay, I think she did a decent job of answering it. She answered it similar to what I would have gone. Maybe they can do this is they get their the Prime Minister and them to hold their hold their hands yay together, right? Unity together, and with a statement saying that the Modi government will work to act against any rogue elements within his party, right? For Canadians' sake, for his news clip's sake, the unity holding hand thing is a good thing, and hope, and we as citizens hope that there's more of a follow through than just the rhetoric. I think she did a decent asking of the question. The Bloc, to me, I give the points for asking it, as they're the ones. I side with the Bloc Québécois. The politicians with them are very, very good, and I align with a lot of what they say, except the separation. In no way do I want to ever see that. But everything else, they're really good politicians, and I don't say it lightly. I really, really don't. I wish that they were all not good politicians, because I don't want to see Quebec ever, I'd like to. I think they're a very strong part of our culture of Quebec. Now, the Alberta separatism thingy, it makes no sense to me. But seeing maybe how the Bloc Québécois, without the separatist issue, no, I'm not even going to go there. I don't know. I think they did a good job. I think that both sides did a good job. They highlighted it, and she said, we're going to use this to discuss. But the Bloc have been proven to ask the question that I think are the best is for the nation.
The Honourable Member for Kamloops, Thompson-Nicola.
Mr. Speaker, there are questions on the Public Safety Minister's recent recusals. Was the Ethics Commissioner consulted prior to the Public Safety Minister setting up an internal conflict screen? And can the Prime Minister explain to this House why the Minister has recused himself?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, in all national security decisions, my utmost concern is that of the safety of Canadians. I will support law enforcement and national security agencies who do their work impartially and effectively. In an abundance of caution and to ensure that there is no perception of any conflict, I've asked the public safety officials to implement a screen on national security issues relating to the Tamil community.
Gary Anasangari did a great He answered it correctly, concisely, and it was good. Now, that was an excellent question, the way it was posted forward, and I think that he answered it so clearly. It's probably one of I see why he's rising, how he's been rising in the ranks. Because like he said, his overabundance and thing, anything to do with Sri Lanka is what basically he said he asked for a blind, because he probably, his heritage or something like that, right? So he's probably has close ties with this community because he may be, I'm not sure. It was a difficult name to learn. It's a simple name, but it took me a little while, and it takes us all a little while to mesh into this culture. Sri Lanka has a great culture. It's an amazing culture.
South Kelowna. Mr. Speaker, despite having world-class shipbuilders like Seaspan in Vancouver, BC Ferries has chosen a Chinese state-owned enterprise to build 4 new ships, even though the Prime Minister has declared China the biggest security threat to Canada. Meanwhile, the Liberals are providing BC Ferries with $36 million with no conditions to protect Canadian workers. Will the minister grow a spine of Canadian manufactured steel and make Canadian jobs a requirement for this funding, or will she side with Premier Eby in selling out our ship and steel building industries?
The Honourable Minister of Transport and Internal Trade.
Mr. Speaker, our government will always side with Canadian workers, particularly our steel and aluminum sectors that are being battered right now. I was disappointed and concerned when I learned of this procurement, particularly at this moment when Canadian workers need our support. BC Ferries is entirely under provincial jurisdiction. The support BC Ferries receives from Transport Canada is entirely for operations and there is no capital expenditure.
The Honourable Member for Cowichan, Malahat, Langford.
Mr. Speaker, what a great non-answer. Look, yesterday, the Minister of Transport refused to act on my concern over BC Ferries buying 4 ships from a Chinese state-owned shipyard and used the excuse that it was not a federal project, which was not the question that I asked. The Liberals should be supporting Canadian shipyards and our economy instead of supporting CCP-owned shipyards and their economy. So again, I ask, will the Liberals attach the obvious condition of buying Canadian-built ships in order for BC Ferries to get their over $30 million Liberal subsidy?
The Honourable Minister of Transport.
Mr. Speaker, I absolutely agree we need to be supporting Canadian shipbuilders. That's why we have a national shipbuilding strategy. I absolutely agree we need to be supporting Canadian steel and aluminum workers. And further, I agree that we need to be alive to national security challenges and bear those in mind when it comes to procurement. I have spoken to my BC counterpart about this issue, and I would underscore BC Ferries is entirely under provincial jurisdiction. I do not think any BC MPs would challenge federal support for operations of ferries.
The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, we've learned that Canadian production of critical minerals could fall by almost 60% by 2040. It's not very surprising, as mining projects under the Liberals take forever to develop. However, we have exceptional geological potential in the Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, including phosphate. Since 2018, we've been working to have it added to the list of critical minerals. Mr. Speaker, why are the Liberals incapable of extracting our natural resources?
Of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, mining is crucial to our economy, and Canada is facing American tariffs. We must support our mining workers. That's why we will speed up permitting of new mines by cutting red tape and approving projects within 2 years. This will create jobs for Canadians, grow our economy, and provide more opportunity for mining workers in our country. We hope our members across the aisle will support the One Canadian Act.
The honourable member for Winnipeg South.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our government has introduced the One Economy Act, which aims to help advance major projects through the regulatory process. We have seen Indigenous people across Canada strongly assert the requirement for consultation before major projects are approved. Can the Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations tell us about how consultations will happen under the new Act?
The Honourable Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill requires meaningful consultation with Indigenous peoples, consistent with Section 35 of the Constitution and the duty to consult. It requires it during both the process of determining which projects are in the national
Mr. Speaker, the average Canadian family is going to spend $800 more on food this year because of liberal inflationary spending. The Calgary Food Bank says that 65% of working Calgarians are now experiencing severe food insecurity. What affects this, of course, is bad government budgeting. Deficits lead to inflation, and this government plans to spend 8% more this coming year. The Liberals want to go on a spending spree and force Canadians onto a diet. Will the Prime Minister set the table and finally serve up this year's budget?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Well, Mr. Speaker, good news for Canadians. Over 22 million Canadians are going to receive a tax cut thanks to the work of this Parliament. Further good news, Mr. Speaker. In the last elections, Canadians coast to coast said the kinds of measures that are helping them, like affordable childcare, like the Canada Child Benefit that's indexed to inflation, like the National Food Program, like the Canada Disability Benefit that will be available next month. These are the kinds of things that are making a difference for Canadians, and we just hope the Conservatives will stop voting against them.
The honourable member for Calgary Centre.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the Liberals are delaying tabling a budget as it's expected to show a supersized deficit, which will increase inflation even further. The higher the deficits, the higher the inflation. The prices Canadians pay for food is dependent upon this government's budget. But don't worry, the government's budgets only affect Canadians who eat. Will the government stop driving up costs and bring forward a budget so Canadians can feed their families without going further into debt?
The Honourable Secretary of State for the Canada Revenue Agency.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let's look at some economic facts. Inflation has dropped from 8.1 to 1.7% over the last 2 years. Our real GDP numbers are growing. We've had workforce participation at 65.3% versus 62.5% compared to the USA. We have a AAA Moody's credit rating. Mr. Speaker, the fundamentals of our economy are very strong. We have a strong mandate from Canadians, and we're going to continue to work together across the aisle to get things done for Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Oshawa.
Mr. Speaker, yes, let's look at some actual facts. Stats Can reports that for every dollar of disposable income, Canadians now owe $1.74, the worst debt ratio in the G7. Oshawa's unemployment is at 9.1%, and the TD Bank warns of a looming recession with 100,000 jobs at risk. This government's response is to blow through $500 billion with no budget, no plan, and no accountability.
Lemurian Viewpoint is a series of articles written from a Lemurian
to speak louder than their commitment to Canadians.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, I think we all know who brought it home in the last election. It was every member on this side of the House. Why did Canadians vote for this Liberal government? Because they know we're compassionate, that we care about the affordability challenges that they're facing. We have a plan to create good jobs, build a stronger economy, and make life more affordable. What do Conservatives have? None of the above. They have complaints, anger, and an absent leader, and divisive rhetoric. We're delivering for Canadians and making Canada strong.
record, Ontario businesses are freezing summer hiring. Unemployment in the region is up...
Sorry, I can't hear the question, so we'll start from the top.
In yesterday's Waterloo Regional record, Ontario businesses are freezing summer hiring. Unemployment in the region is up 7.3%, and TD Bank says there's a looming recession with job losses of 100,000 jobs, causing local businesses to focus on staying lean. Nearly 1/3 of Canadian small businesses have adjusted or paused their summer hiring plans, according to a survey by Merchant Growth. Kitchener businesses need a plan. A budget is a plan. Why does this government refuse to heed our calls and table a budget that reverses their inflationary spending?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Family.
Mr. Speaker, good news for Canadian youth this summer. In addition to the 70,000 Canada summer jobs, we're adding 6,000 more, Mr. Speaker, all across the country. We know this is an emergency valve, Mr. Speaker, for youth unemployment. That is indeed rising. But, Mr. Speaker, what won't help is votes against the measures that Canadians are looking for this summer. Mr. Speaker, what we know is that Canadians vote every single time there's an opportunity to help the constituents in their riding. We won't do that, Mr. Speaker. We'll stand up for Canadian families.
The Honourable Member for Mission, Matsuquay, Abbotsford.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Small businesses fought for 5 years to receive the carbon tax rebate. Now that the money has been dispersed to small businesses across Canada, they are seeking clarification as to whether or not the Canada Revenue Agency will treat it as a taxable benefit. Can the Government of Canada clarify today, yes or no, are carbon tax rebates taxable?
Good question.
The Honourable Minister of Women and Gender Equality.
Mr. Speaker, as we know, small businesses are the backbone of our Canadian economy, and our new government has their back. We're cutting taxes for small businesses and red tape. We're breaking down interprovincial trade barriers by July 1st and helping businesses go digital. We also welcome our middle-class tax cut, which will help entrepreneurs get well-deserved tax break while they can. And, Mr. Speaker, we will always be there for small businesses. And let's forget that we have also cut the carbon tax for small business as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Swift Current, Grasslands, Kindersley.
Mr. Speaker, Saskatchewan is responsible for over 1/5 of the world's canola exports, and China being one of the largest buyers. The communist regime in Beijing implemented 100% tariffs on canola oil and meal, and there's been radio silence from the Prime Minister. Farmers plan their crop rotations years in advance. They've had to ride out this trade war all on their own. Will the Prime Minister prioritize our farmers for once and end China's tariffs on our canola, or is he too compromised from Brookfield's $250 million loan from a Chinese bank?
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food.
Well, it's a little over 3 weeks, Mr. Speaker, and I'm finally getting to my feet. First and foremost, I want to thank the people of Malpeque for putting me here, and my wife and my family. Mr. Speaker, it's immensely important for us. Mr. Speaker, I'll be traveling to the Prairie Provinces this weekend to meet with farmers to see firsthand the effect of the canola tariffs. But I will say this, Mr. Speaker, we've had the International Trade Minister meeting with officials and the Prime Minister. We're moving in the right direction, and we always stand up for farmers.
The Honourable Member for Souris Moose Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, farmers in Souris Moose Mountain and across the prairies are being crushed by 100% crippling tariffs on canola. The Liberal government, they've done nothing. These unjust tariffs are jeopardizing family farms, threatening livelihoods, and undermining the backbone of our agricultural economy. While producers urgently seek leadership and support, the Liberals remain silent. When will the Liberals take real concrete action to eliminate these punitive tariffs on Canadian canola and for once stand up for Canadian farmers?
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It gives me the opportunity to talk about how important farming is in this country, Mr. Speaker. 1 in 9 jobs, Mr. Speaker, related to farming. 6.75% of our GDP related to farming. Mr. Speaker, I've spoken to every First Minister across this country, and one thing that is in common, we're united in our front against these tariffs, and we will stay that way, Mr. Speaker, because it's going to benefit everybody.
Yeah. The honourable member for Hamilton East Stony Creek.
Mr. Speaker, just days after the minister's promise-filled visit to ArcelorMittal this past weekend in Hamilton, they have announced a closure to their long wire mill, resulting in a loss of 153 mortgage-paying jobs in my community. Yesterday, I spoke to a concerned father whose daughter, Amanda, lost her job to the mill closure. Her father stated that the Prime Minister promised tariff relief on TV. Mr. Speaker, when will Amanda get her tariff relief?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the question. These illegal and unjustified...
A warning sign to all working Canadians in this country. The Prime Minister promised elbows up with the United States and to collect $20 billion. All we've seen is elbows down. I ask this question on behalf of the workers of Hamiltonian's Industrial Corridor and Canadians. Mr. Speaker, will the Prime Minister, is this the end of closures or just the beginning?
L'honorable secrétaire parlementaire.
Monsieur le Président, je vous rappelle.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to remind everyone that these tariffs were imposed by the United States. These are American tariffs that were imposed on products. Our government is here to support workers, companies, so we can weather the storm. And we're looking forward to everyone's collaboration to weather the storm. Thank you very much. The Honourable Member for Alfred Pélan. Mr. Speaker, our new government was elected to implement a strong vision for nature.
A process to get money back for taxpayers. Thank you.
Okay.
To the Prime Minister, is this the end of closures or just the beginning?
That these tariff workers, member for Alfred Pélan. Mr. Speaker, our new government was elected to implement a strong vision for nature conservation, both on land and in the water, as well as improved access for Canadians. Can the Secretary of State for Nature inform this House of our upcoming actions to protect nature in Canada? The Honourable Secretary of State for Nature. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague from Alfred Pélan for his excellent question. I would also like to take a moment, as I rise for the first time in this House, to thank all the constituents of the wonderful riding of Châteauguay-des-Jardins de Napierville for their trust. Nature is a fundamental part of our Canadian identity. It unites us, and irrespective of their political stripe, all Canadians love nature. Our new government will work with provinces, territories, Indigenous peoples, and all stakeholders to protect nature. That's what a strong united Canada looks like.
For Lethbridge.
Mr. Speaker, in the last Parliament, these Liberals forced through one piece of censorship legislation after another. Bill C-18, which of course stops the spread of news on social media outlets. Bill C-11, which controls what Canadians can see and say online. And then came Bill C-63, which is bloated censorship legislation, which actually brought in an internet czar and controls freedom of speech. The Liberals claim that this is a, quote, new government, so my curiosity is this. Whoever is in charge over there, of course, will they commit to respecting Canadians and, of course, stop censoring them?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, for decades we've witnessed journalists losing their jobs, newsrooms shutting down, and local media going bankrupt. Access to fact-based information from coast to coast to coast is essential to keep Canadians informed. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, my Conservative colleagues do not believe that preserving this pillar of our democracy is important. On our side, we chose to pass the Online News Act to ensure that journalists can continue their important work for our country, for our democracy, for our Canadian unity.
The honourable member for Lethbridge.
So what I'm hearing is that this is the same old government, absolutely hell-bent on continuing to censor what Canadians can see and say online. My question is with regards to Bill C-63 and going forward. You see, C-63 doesn't just target predators, it targets opinions, it targets freedom of thought, it targets discourse within the online sphere. It institutes thought police, for crying out loud. It's a Trojan horse for further government control. So I ask again, in any future legislation going forward, will this Liberal government commit to respecting Canadians and making sure that they do not censor them?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, just about everything that the member said in her intervention is wrong. Bill C-11 ensures that Canadian artists get rewarded, as they should, by online platform, Mr. Speaker. Bill C-11 makes sure that Canadian content can be discovered by Canadians, by my kids, by all of our kids, instead of just international artists, Mr. Speaker. That's exactly what what Bill C-11 does. It gives the opportunity for Canadians to discover Canadian artists, something we should all support, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Elgin, St. Thomas, London South.
Mr. Speaker, baseless smears like that are why these Liberals can't be trusted to regulate speech in this country. For years, this Liberal government has determined to censor what Canadians see and say online. From Bill C-11, which put the Liberals in control of YouTube algorithms, to Bill C-18, which squeezed out small and independent media, and to their thought crime Bill C-63. Now we learn in the National Post that cabinet ministers over there are all clamoring over who gets to be responsible for the latest online censorship law. So will the minister who gets to censor what Canadians say please reveal themselves now?
The Honourable Minister.
He gets a star for that.
Agreed that they should do this. Google will pay $100 million to help Canadian journalism in this country. An international US-based company would agree to do that, but the Conservative Party of Canada would vote against this, would prevent that from happening, would want to prevent our media from getting $100 million so that there's more local content, more journalists hired in our newsroom across the country. It is simply unthinkable. It is immoral, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not going to yell. The idea. What's happening is the old legacy media is going to get the money, and if you fit certain criteria, they're getting money. Not Mickey Mouse people like myself. And then they use that money to bludgeon those who are not in their competition. This has happened several times for all of these new laws, and none of them have helped the fabric of Canada. In my opinion, they actually have made it worse, and it makes us weaker and weaker in many ways, because I honestly, and I think I'm not alone, legacy media and a lot of connected people in this country have lost the plot, and we're losing every year. And while other countries, like you go look at India, YouTube news from India, it's like unbelievable. It's unbelievable. They whatever angle you want, you can find it there. They've made such a vibrant news thing. They're not fighting it. They're embracing it. And because there's more news agencies in India than in any other country in the world. And it has nothing to do with just, okay, they have a big population. But it's a very big weave fabric, and it's actually helped their democracy. Modi has an empire, but there's many millions, thousands at least, I'm sorry for yelling, thousands that are against what he says, but he keeps winning because he has the best arguments for that country, right? For the people of the country. And so we've decided to go the way of how China's embraced the future. Instead of embracing the technology and like making it easier for people to make money online, we have decided that we are going to cancel culture, and it isn't working. It's never going to work because people will always think, but they won't know how to articulate that, So when someone's articulating it for them or against them, they're going to, it's always going to hurt the democracy by that, not having someone articulate that thought. And then people can weigh, well, I hear that saying is not good. I hear that's not good, but I'll balance it myself and give it to you. But the idea that you're just going to stop speech, put them to further and further and smaller platforms is where we're going. And I believe it's going, we know where we're headed. Okay, I'm not going to say it.
The honourable member for Humber River, Black Creek.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Fentanyl has torn through communities and ripped families apart throughout various areas of Canada. Our government was given a strong mandate to keep all Canadians safe. Can the Minister of Public Safety update the House on the recent law enforcement seizures which are keeping drugs off the streets of Canada?
That's 2 in a row from Judy Escrow, just because it rhymes.
Mr. Speaker, allow me to thank my honourable colleague from Humber River, Black Creek, for her question and for hard work. Every member of this House knows someone impacted by the fentanyl crisis. Earlier this week, the Ontario Provincial Police announced 2 operations that seized 43.5 kilograms of fentanyl, the largest ever fentanyl seizure in its history. Through the Strong Borders Act, we will ensure that police across the country have the tools needed to replicate the success of these operations. We will always be there, Mr. Speaker, to keep Canadians protected.
The honourable member from Mégantic-l'Érable, L'Aude-Binière.
That was the guess. That was good.
Waiting is for us to die before they give us our money. The issue, Mr. Speaker, is that the government disbursed $70 million to manage a problem. Since 2019, the company only reimbursed 16 victims, rejected hundreds of requests, like Mr. Nolte. When will EPIC be fired and a reimbursement be made so the money can go directly in the pocket of victims in Thetford mines and not in the pockets of consultants and lawyers? The Honourable Minister for Health. Mr. Speaker, first of all, no. And we know what all the victims have gone through. I will go back to my colleague's question later because I don't have an answer right now.
The honourable member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Speaker, during the last election, the Prime Minister said the old relationship we had with the United States based on deepening integration of our economies and military cooperation is over. But yesterday, a leaked document reveals his government is willing to participate in Donald Trump's Golden Dome missile defense system. Former Liberal Foreign Affairs Minister Lloyd Axworthy called this a betrayal of the vision Canadians voted for. Why is the Prime Minister deepening military integration with an unstable partner when we should be pivoting away?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister of National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, for 75 years, our government's been has been an essential partner in strengthening NORAD, the only binational command in the world. We know that we live in a more dangerous world. That's why this new government has undertaken a wide array of discussions with the United States about a new security and economic relationship that benefits both of our sovereign nations. For example, the Prime Minister recently made a $6 billion new investment in an Arctic over-the-horizon radar system. We're actively strengthening, Mr. Speaker, Canada's presence in the continent, and we will build our country's national defence capabilities of all kinds.
The honourable member for Winnipeg Centre.
Mr. Speaker, Bill C-5 violates constitutional obligations, eradicates environmental protections, compromises workers' health and safety, and fails to hold corporations accountable in cases where violence is inflicted on Indigenous women and girls. A call to justice from the National Inquiry. Mr. Speaker, we thought Pierre Poilievre lost his seat, but it seems like he's leading the Liberal Party. Maybe that's why, Mr. Speaker, Is that why the government is trying to fast-track Bill C-5?
The Honourable Minister of Transport.
Mr. Speaker, we all know that Canada is facing a critical moment. We all know our country is being battered by U.S. tariffs. Last week, I was in Saskatoon, and around the table were premiers, NDP premiers, Conservative premiers, Liberal premiers. They all understood now is the time to build Canada, to tear down barriers to trade between ourselves. I really hope all members of this House will recognize the urgency of the moment and support this essential legislation.
And that concludes question period for today.
I just don't believe that eliminating debate is ever worthwhile. You can agree with something, but still there may be points you want to debate and do adjustments thereof. But the idea, especially it's a minority government, and a supermajority government, I could see more of a reason, but they're not even a majority. Never mind a supermajority. Like, I mean 90% plus of the vote. This country doesn't have I don't think that they have that support. They didn't get it in the election, so they shouldn't be fast-tracking it. Saying that, I understand that the Liberals don't want to debate it, of course, because it creates a headache and they want to get this just moving. But it's an omnibus bill, meaning it's huge. All kinds of variations, all kinds of things that are on it. In it, and I personally believe that Canada has been on the wrong track since like the 70s. As we know, 80% of the wealth used to be held in the majority of the people's hands. Now, the majority of the money in this country is held by the top 20%. So it's literally like a flip since the 70s. And when you have that, you have to have more politicians who get elected by the whole-ish. Right now, we got up to 68% of the people voting, and that 32% of people that didn't vote, I put money, every single one of them, minus 0.1%, was from the working class who didn't vote. They had to work, they couldn't get there. It was just like they don't believe in the system, so on and so forth. The majority of people that pay attention to politics are the wealthy. And this country has been dominated by those of the wealth, for the wealth, at the expense thereof, of the working class. That's how our factories left. And the only way to fix this country, and to get us on number one again, when the working class do well, the elites do well. When we get top-heavy, we'll crumble. There's a major amount of investment in this country that could be pulled very quickly, and it'll be eventually used to dictate every political move we see. That's my opinion. Obviously, I know nothing, but this is the trajectory, and the only way out of it is by debating, giving every MP the say, using the system that we have. That's it. I don't advocate. I don't like protests. I don't like 99% of the things that happen outside the thing. I agree. I want to have my say about the politicians. But I believe the real answer will come from these people that are elected. And the more that people pay attention, the better these politicians will be for the people, because they literally are the ones voted by the people. And when you have, that system. So thus the system can fix itself. But once the system gets eroded and we don't allow the new technologies of the future being used by... Listen, if I'm rich, I can bypass any of the censorship, but I'm not. I'm working class. I can't bypass it. I'm under the system, very much so. And so by eliminating the idiots, I don't claim to know everything in any shape or form, by being able to easily eliminate the lower... It's what it obviously is doing is putting the teeter-totter. You're putting just more weights on the working class to cancel them because they don't say the right things and this and that. Is just making sure that those on the top are you know what I mean. They just walk away from the seesaw on you, and you know what that feels like. It gives the rich people, they're like, We don't even need to bother the seats. We can stand on our own. It's the problematic with people believing that, especially as you get up there, believing that this person shouldn't say anything and you're not helping. Yeah, I know, you're not helping your case. And it always isn't. And it's something that I believe that we should be working on more. More debate and more things, but also having every side put forth, especially the working class. That's, I believe, how America became the number one in the world. There was no reason for America to be number one in the world. Look at Russia. They have the same resources as America, bigger country, as a matter of fact. But it was a still elitist country, even when they went commie. It was ruled by the few. Once America became ruled by the many, no one could stop them. That's what I think. Like, subscribe, have a good day, and remember, we're all trying.